Hi everybody! Today we're going to be doing another grammar video, and today we're going to be talking about the genitive case. The genitive case is the last of the 4 cases in the German language. We've already done videos on the nominative, accusative, and dative cases, and now we're going to go on to the last one. So if you haven't seen the German with Puppets video with that, go ahead and click on that button up there at the top. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do on here is we're going to fill out this chart full of definite articles, and the definite articles are words for the in German, so der words, also known as der Wörter, and so let's go ahead and get started. We have nominative case, we have der, die, das, die, masculine, feminine, neuter, plural. Everybody should know those by now. In the accusative case, the only thing that changes is we have den for the accusative masculine. The other ones stay the same, so we have den, die, das, die. In the dative case, for the indirect object case, we would have dem, der, dem, den. Don't forget that there's also an in at the end of the noun for the plural dative. And the last one that we have here is the new one, and that is the genitive case. The genitive case is des, with an s at the end of the noun, der, des, with an s at the end of the noun again, and der. So now we have our full chart here. We have Resse, Nesse, Merman, Surser. That takes all of the last letters of each of one of these words, R-E-S-E, N-E-S-E, M-R-M-N, S-R-S-R. Resse, Nesse, Merman, Surser. And that's the mnemonic device that you can use in order to remember all of these. In section 2 here we have the indefinite articles. This is not directly discussed in the puppets video, but I think we can extrapolate from the information that we do have. So in the nominative case, we already know that they are ein, eine, ein, and either keine, meine, deine, seine, ihre, unsere, eure, or ihre. Those are all those possessives or a negation word, because you can't say a followed by a plural. You can't do it in English, you can't do it in German. So for that reason, we have the negated word here, starting with a k, or you could also have meine, deine, seine, and all of those possessives. So anyway, that's why I have the k in parentheses. In the accusative case, again, the only thing that changes is the masculine. It changes from ein in the nominative to einen in the accusative. Feminine, neuter, and plural all stay the same. Einen, eine, ein, and keine. In the dative case, we still have einem, einer, einem, keinen. Don't forget there's an in still at the end of the noun for the plural dative. In the genitive case, it's exactly what you would think it is. It takes the SR-SR pattern. So we have eines with an S at the end of the noun, einer, eines with an S again at the end of the noun, and keiner. Again, meine, deine, seine, and so on with any of those other kind of endings that you would have at the end of a word. It just takes an R at the end. Now the first time that we can use the genitive case is whenever you're using it as a possessive. In other words, of the, in English, you would say the end of the festival. So in other words, you would say das Ende von dem Fest, the end of the festival, but without actually having a prepositional phrase in it. So you can actually just say the end, the fest, in German, literally speaking, and you would actually use the genitive case for that. So first thing we do here is we recognize that we have von dem Fest. That means that we have either a neuter or a masculine noun. It's completely irrelevant whenever we're changing it to the genitive case because masculine and neuter nouns take the same endings. So we start off here with das Ende, which stays the same, and change dem Fest to des Festes. You'll notice that I added an es to the end of the noun. It's a single syllable noun, and most of the time when you have a single syllable noun, you're going to add an es as opposed to just an s to the end of the noun in the genitive, masculine, or neuter forms. In Nummer 2, we have der Geruch von einem Fischfilet. In this one here, we have the smell of a fish fillet. So we would actually not change the first one, take out the von, and you end up with der Geruch eines Fischfilets. In number 3, we have der Geschmack von einem Apfelkuchen. Apfelkuchen is a masculine noun, and so whenever we put this into the genitive case, we end up with der Geschmack des Apfelkuchens. That's the taste of the apple cake. Could also be an apple pie. Der Spargel von dem Rathaus. The asparagus of the city hall. The restaurant in the city hall, that is. Der Spargel des Rathauses. Since the noun already ends in an S, we can't just add an S to the end of it, so that's why we have that ES there. It's also a neuter noun, and so we have des Rathauses, the asparagus of the city hall. Die Angestellten von einem Gasthof. The employees of a hotel. In this one we have again a masculine or neuter noun. It's kind of irrelevant, but it has einem, so we know that it's either masculine or neuter. So we have to have this as des Gasthofs in the genitive. Die Ansichtskarte von der Altstadt. The greeting cards from the old city. Altstadt is feminine, so the only thing that really happens here is we take out the von and it becomes genitive instead of dative. Die Ansichtskarte der Altstadt. Notice that we don't have to add anything to the end of the noun here because it's not neuter or masculine. Only neuter or masculine things will take an S. You don't add an R to the end of the noun either. Die Farbe von den Bohnen. Here we have a plural noun. Den Bohnen tells us that it's the plural dative. So whenever we change this to the genitive case, we take out von and change den to der. Die Farben der Bohnen. The color of the beans. Die Fotos von einer Broschüre. The photos from a brochure. We want to say the photos of a brochure, so we change this to die Fotos einer Broschüre. Die Gemütlichkeit von meinen Decken. The coziness of my blankets. Die Gemütlichkeit von meinen Decken. Die Gemütlichkeit der Decken is the genitive version. Die Kosten von dem Bier. The cost of the beer. Here we would have to have die Kosten des Bieres. According to Duden, you can actually leave out the E and you can just say des Biers. Me personally, I would probably actually say des Biers instead of des Bieres. It just sounds easier. I'm not real sure why. In section 4 here, we're supposed to combine these two sentences using the genitive form of the possessive. So we start off with the sentence that says, Das Kleid ist hässlich. The dress is ugly. Das Kleid gehört meiner Mutter. The dress belongs to my mother. So we want to say, the dress of my mother is ugly. So we end up with, Das Kleid meiner Mutter ist hässlich. Meiner Mutter is in the genitive case and is right after the noun das Kleid, which is the thing being possessed. Das Obst gefällt mir nicht. The fruit is not pleasing to me, or I don't like the fruit. Das Obst ist in dem Kompott. The fruit is in the stewed fruit. So we want to say, the fruit of the stewed fruit is not pleasing to me. Das Obst des Kompotts gefällt mir nicht. The fruit of the stewed fruit is not pleasing to me. Die Farben sind schön. The colors are beautiful. Die Farben gehören meinen Suppenlöffeln. The colors belong to my soup spoons. Soup spoons is plural here, so we end up with meiner for the genitive form. Die Farben meiner Suppenlöffel sind schön. The colors of my soup spoons are beautiful. Die Gurken sind verfault. The cucumbers are rotten. Die Gurken sind von dem Gurkensalat. The cucumbers are from the cucumber salad. So now we want to say, the cucumbers of the cucumber salad are rotten. Die Gurken des Gurkensalats sind verfault. Die Preise sind zu teuer. The prices are too expensive. Die Preise sind von den Rathäusern. The prices are from the city halls, or the restaurant in the city hall. So we want to say the prices of the city halls are too expensive. Die Preise der Rathäuser sind zu teuer. Ein Reisebüro hat Kunden. A travel agency has customers. Die Kunden haben viel Geld. The customers have a lot of money. So we want to say the customers of a travel agency have a lot of money. Die Kunden eines Reisebüros haben viel Geld. Nummer 17. Ein Schaf hat Fleisch. A sheep has meat. Das Fleisch schmeckt sehr gut. The meat tastes really good. So we want to say, the meat of a sheep tastes very good. Das Fleisch eines Schafes schmeckt sehr gut. In this one, it could also be Schafes or Schafs. Either way is acceptable according to Duden. However, I personally would probably just say Schafs. It just sounds easier to say. Again, I'm not real sure why, just a personal preference. Eine Karotte ist schmackhaft. A carrot is tasty. Das Restaurant hat die Karotten. The restaurant has the carrots. In this sentence, we want to say a carrot of the restaurant is tasty. Eine Karotte des Restaurants ist schmackhaft. Ich habe meinem Vater das Hemd gekauft. I bought my father the shirt. Ich habe das Hemd nicht mehr gern. I no longer like the shirt. So now I want to say, I no longer like the shirt of my father. Ich habe das Hemd meines Vaters nicht mehr gern. Nummer 20. Ich hasse den Geschmack. I hate the taste. Der Geschmack gehört der Gulaschsuppe. The taste belongs to the goulash soup. I want to say that I hate the taste of goulash soup. So that would be, ich hasse den Geschmack der Gulaschsuppe. The next version when you would use the genitive case would be with genitive prepositions. There are 6 on the list here. Anstatt means instead of, außerhalb, outside of, innerhalb, inside of, trotz, despite, wegen, because of, and während, during. Now there are several options that are probably okay to use in each of these following sentences, but because it says that I'm only using each one once, I'm going to have to kind of finagle things a little bit in order for that to work. So the first one here, it says, something about the house, können wir nicht Fußball spielen. We cannot play soccer. It could be inside of the house, it could be outside of the house, it could be because of the house, but this one we're going to use inside the house because mom would get upset. So we start off our sentence with Innerhalb, inside, then we want of the house, so we say des Hauses. We have des because house is a neuter noun, and we have Hauses because it's a single syllable word, and so we have to add that es to the end of it whenever it's neuter or masculine. In the second one here, it says die Empfehlung, the suggestion. Der Angestellte is the employee. Habe ich das Rindfleisch bestellt. I ordered the roast beef. So we want to say, despite the suggestion of the employee, since it says of the employee, that's why it's der Angestellte, which is actually feminine and genitive in this sentence. We start our sentence with the word that means in spite of, trotz, followed by the genitive form of die Empfehlung, which is der Empfehlung. Despite the suggestion of the employee, I ordered the roast beef. In the next one it says die Ferien, which is the plural form of der Ferien, which is vacation. Esse ich zu viel means I eat too much. So we want to say, during the vacation, I eat too much. The word for during is während. In order to change die Ferien, which is plural, into the plural genitive, we have to have der Ferien. Während der Ferien esse ich zu viel. In the next one it says die Schule. Die Schule is the school. Sind die Kinder ruhiger means the children are quieter. So we want to say, outside of the school, the children are quieter. It doesn't make much sense, but it would make just as much sense with inside of the school, the children are quieter. But we're going to say außerhalb because we already used innerhalb in the first sentence. Außerhalb, since it's die Schule, we have to use der Schule in the genitive. Outside of the school, the children are quieter. Außerhalb der Schule sind die Kinder ruhiger. In number 25, we have einen Apfelkuchen again. That means an apple pie. Bestelle ich lieber ein Eis means I prefer to buy an ice cream. So we want to say instead of an apple pie. So we start off with instead of, anstatt, followed by the genitive form of Apfelkuchen, which we used before, eines Apfelkuchens. Anstatt eines Apfelkuchens bestelle ich lieber ein Eis. Instead of an apple pie, I prefer to buy an ice cream. In the last one here, we have mein Studium. Mein Studium is actually a word for my studies, or my education. Esse ich nicht mehr is I no longer eat. In this one, we're talking about how it is for freshmen in college, where it's because of my education, I no longer eat. In other words, you're studying so much that you don't have time to cook some ramen. So the first thing we need in the blank here is wegen. Wegen is because of. Now we need the form that goes with Studium, which is meines Studiums. Because of my studies, or because of my education, I don't eat anymore. Wegen meines Studiums esse ich nicht mehr. Now there is one thing that I haven't talked about in this worksheet, and that is wessen. Wessen is relatively simple. Wessen just means whose, as in W-H-O-S-E in English. As in, wessen Schuh ist das? Whose shoe is this? Wessen Hemd ist das? Whose shirt is this? And so on. Whenever you use wessen, you need to follow it with a noun, and then that means whose, as in, whose shirt is this, and so on. That's it for today in the genitive case. If you want to see more of these videos with worksheet explanations, go ahead and click on that button over there. If you want to see some Märchen, which are fairy tales, or some Lieder, which are songs, or if you just want to check out some resources where you can learn German online, go ahead and click that button over there and you can see what I think of some various websites around the web. And I'll see you next week. Bye now.